The national anthem. This evening, Council is appreciative to have Bishop Admir Cleve, Bishop of the Church of Solid Faith, here to pray with us. Bishop, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, the leaders you have chosen to deliberate on the business of your people are here assembled. They need your presence in the meeting. Your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, promised that where 2 or 3 are gathered together and call on your name, you will be present in their midst. Therefore, we thank you that your Holy Spirit is present with them now. As they deliberate, they need wisdom and understanding, so that the decisions they will arrive at may be in accordance with your will, the good of your people, and the glory of your holy name. We pray this through Jesus Christ, your Son, our risen Lord, Savior, and Redeemer. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barossa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden. Any person who takes any action to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of City Council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barossa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Seeing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
None at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any resolutions or announcements by my colleagues, starting with Councilmember Bankston?
Yes, thank you, President Harden, and good to see everyone this evening. One announcement and one resolution. First, for announcement, on Saturday, May 28th, my office will have our next community hours out in the community from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So please mark your calendars and hold the date. We are still finalizing a location at one of our great small businesses in the community, and we'll have more details at next week's meeting. Next, I have Resolution 0082X-2022 to recognize May 9th through 15th of 2022 as Economic Development Week here in the city of Columbus. And as I read this resolution and speak about it, I'm going to ask Ms. Tanya with the Ohio Small Business Development Center to come to the podium. Economic development is about people. It is about leveraging public and private partnerships to help our communities grow and to help our residents thrive. Since 2015, more than 171 companies have announced expansions and locations in the city of Columbus, committing to create 26,144 new jobs and committing to retain 14,861 jobs, and an overall commitment and investment of over $5.88 billion in real property investments and improvements, helping to drive the city's strong job creation. But when we hear these numbers, I want us all to really think about the families these numbers represent, not simply income for the city, for us to have operating expenses for things that are critical, such as fire, recreation and parks, and so on and so forth. But I want us to think about what those salaries and benefits are going towards. They're putting food on people's tables, paying for rents and mortgages, giving a new parent access to childcare, or helping a parent put their child through college. That is what economic development is about. And that is what this resolution celebrates. In chambers tonight, we have Ms. Tanya Wilson, a business advisor with the Ohio Small Business Development Center, to speak about the significance of economic development and its impact on our region and community, and what this week means to them. Thank you, Ms. Tanya, for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Tanya Wilson, a business advisor for the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College. And I am honored to be here tonight to accept this resolution on behalf of the City of Columbus Department of Development. I'd like to thank Councilmember Bankston, Council President Shannon Harding, the members of City Council, and Mayor Anthony Ganther for this recognition. Economic development from the federal level to local municipalities is critical for creating jobs and wealth for our community and its citizens. Economic development performs many different functions, including company recruitment, workforce development, quality of life, through housing and neighborhood development, and of course, support for business creation and growth. At the Ohio Small Business Development Center, we have had the pleasure of working closely with the City of Columbus Economic Development Team on the small business agenda, the Accelerate Columbus Initiative, and the current Columbus-Franklin County Small Business Recovery Fund grant program to make a difference in the business economic ecosystem of the region. Specifically, through our partnership with the city's Economic Development Department, we've been able to focus on improving the overall business climate for disadvantaged, minority-owned, women-owned, LGBTQIA+ owned, and veteran-owned small businesses and businesses located in low-income areas of the city. I'd like to thank, again, Councilmember Bankston and the members of City Council for their commitment to making Columbus an inclusive, strong, and vibrant community, and we look forward to continuing to partner with the city on future economic development efforts. Thank you.
Thank you again, Tanya, for all the work that you're doing at Columbus State and in our region. And also would be remiss if I didn't thank our wonderful team at the Department of Development for the City of Columbus, Director Mike Stevens, Deputy Director Quentin Harrison, all the work that they do. Every single day, we talk about the impact that this will have, not just simply, again, by the numbers or what it will do for the city from an enterprise standpoint, but the impact that it will have on our families and our region. So thank you all for this amazing weekend. We look forward to celebrating it. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, Council President, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Barosa de Padilla.
Nothing for me this evening, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Pres Pro Tem.
No, thank you, Councilmember.
Okay. Councilmember Dorans. All right. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Harden, and good evening to all of our residents watching. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday, honoring and representing all of the women and those who identify as women, and the great joy that they bring to all of our lives. So hopefully everyone had a beautiful day yesterday. Today I have Resolution 0080X-2022 to designate May 9th through 13th as Trauma-Informed Awareness Week in the City of Columbus and recognize the work of the Columbus Care Coalition. I'd like to invite Ms. Marion Stuckey with the Care Coalition up to the podium. Trauma-informed care is an approach that can bring greater understanding and more effective ways to prevent, identify, support, and service children, adults, families, and communities affected by adverse childhood experiences, trauma, adversity, and toxic stress. Trauma-informed care is not a therapy or an intervention, but a principle-based cultural change process aimed at recognizing strengths and resiliency, as well as helping people who have experienced trauma to overcome those issues in order to lead healthy and positive lives. We know the importance of mental health and excuse me, and how it has become even more pronounced during the COVID-19 pandemic, which has not only negatively impacted many people's mental health, but also created barriers to treatment. The Columbus Care Coalition provides hope and healing to individuals, their families, and their neighbors experiencing trauma through various workshops focused on trauma training, racial trauma, and networking by offering support in communities following a traumatic event, including canvassing neighborhoods post-homicide and various communities around the city of Columbus. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Stuckey to provide some additional remarks.
Thank you. Councilmember Favors, Council President Hardin, council members, please accept our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the designation of Trauma-Informed Awareness Week. As a coalition, we set this week aside to come together to uplift resilience, healing, and learning. What is very clear is that the more we can increase awareness and understanding of trauma, the more we can all respond with empathy and kindness, shifting from asking what's wrong with you, instead asking what happened, but next taking it a step further to ask, how did this person survive? Trauma can be defined as a situation that overwhelms a person's ability to cope and initiates a body-based response that is involuntary and cannot be controlled. And sometimes it can be chronic in nature, generally as a response to a life or death situation. Trauma shows up in many ways, and if not addressed, can have devastating impacts on individuals, families, and communities. During this week, we seek to create more understanding of not only trauma, but also uplifting the importance of connection, relationships, and building resilience, because trauma is not the end of the story.
This week is full of activities that are centered on the connections and relationships, the connections that we are hardwired for, and ultimately serve as a buffer for trauma in hard times. This week gives us a moment to reflect on the resilience and positivity that are a part of communities and neighborhoods every single day, and allows us to share a different narrative. As a part of TIA Week, the Columbus Care Coalition, the liaisons from the Department of Neighborhoods will host walks in 4 priority neighborhoods. These walks are designed to directly engage residents in neighborhoods experiencing trauma and increase awareness of research-based resilience factors, which include affiliation, agency, self-esteem, external supports, and safe, healthy others. Partners who are committed in walking and building with us include area commissioners, faith leaders, CBOs, small businesses, and medical health professionals. This is an effort to illustrate that people, not violence, represents and defines our neighborhoods. A great example is there's 2 walks taking place at city parks. This week we'll also host a variety of learning opportunities, space for mindfulness and movement, and an award ceremony to honor those who work tirelessly each day. We appreciate your leadership and recognition of not only trauma's impact, but the hope and healing that is possible. A complete list of Trauma-Informed Awareness Week activities can be found at the Columbus Care Coalition website, which is www.columbus.gov/care. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much for being here today and the work that you all do in our community on behalf of our residents. I just want to extend our gratitude and appreciation for filling in the gaps and being there for folks at some of the worst times of their lives. So thank you very much. Are there any additional comments or, yes, Councilmember Brown?
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Councilmember Favor, for this recognition. And I just want to add my deep gratitude for the work you do on a daily basis. You know, the trauma is what makes the headlines, right? We all read in the newspaper or see on TV or hear on the radio the actual traumatic incident, and it's so easy to forget about what's left in its wake. And because of you all, we're not forgetting about what's left in its wake. And you all are really how the city is investing on doing more than just following headlines. So thank you for the work you've done for years and will continue to do, and the difference you're making, life-changing difference in many people's lives by being there in the trauma-informed way that you both just spoke so eloquently about. So thank you.
Thank you so much, President Pro Tem. With that, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have a couple announcements this evening. First, I just want to give another quick update of the results of the Cleaner Columbus Community Cleanup. On April 30th, I hosted the inaugural Cleaner Columbus Community Cleanup, and it was a huge success. I wanted to give a heartfelt thank you to all of the volunteers who came out and offered their time and efforts, as well as the city in general for their support in this initiative. They faced challenges that day with rain, freeway closures, and the Cap City Marathon. So I'm sincerely grateful that we had over 160 volunteers. We collected 416 bags of trash, which totaled 5,447 pounds of litter. As a collective, we touched several neighborhoods in nearby areas, including Northland, Linden, North Central, Franklinton, Hilltop, King Lincoln, Clintonville, Gender Road, Marion Franklin Driving Park, and the downtown area. Couldn't have done this without the support and partnership of Harmony Project, Keep Columbus Beautiful, Columbus Recreation and Parks, and NBC4. I'd also like to send a big thank you out to several local organizations who sent out volunteers to join the community cleanup. That is Creative Housing, Bath and Body Works, Short North Rotary Club, Livingston Avenue Area Commission, and the Southeast Area Commission. And finally, I'd like to thank my council colleagues once again and our council team for your ongoing support and for rolling up your sleeves to clean areas along Livingston Avenue and Nelson Road. I look forward to announcing future Cleaner Columbus community events, so stay tuned. This Thursday, Council President Harden and I will host a hearing to review the 2021 Reimagining Public Safety Grants as we prepare for the supporting work this summer. That hearing will be here in Chambers beginning at 5 p.m. Anyone wishing to speak should RSVP to Lucy Frank at ljfrank@columbus.gov. That's ljfrank@columbus.gov. And I will be hosting community hours Tuesday, May 24th from 12:30 to 2 on WebEx. Again, to RSVP, please contact my assistant, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov. That is all I have this evening, Council President, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. And council members, are there any comments by our elected officials, the auditor, city attorney's office, treasurer's office? Seeing none. Are there any requests by members of council for removal of ordinance or resolution from the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive the reading of titles of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Remy, Favor, President Harden.
Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation?
Yes. Public Utilities, Ordinance 1138, 1149, 1170, 1174, and 1182-2022. Rules and Reference, Ordinance 1207-2022. Zoning, Ordinance 1283, 1243, 1255, 1256, and 1284-2022. Resolution 0081X and 0. Oh, sorry, I kept going.
Oh, sorry. Are there any questions or comments from our colleagues on the consent portion? I see we don't have any speakers on the consent portion. No speakers. The following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Yes. Resolution 0081X-2022, Resolution 00X3-2022, Economic Development, Ordinance 1153, 1168, 1220, 1221, and 1222-2022, Small and Minority Business, Ordinance 1259-2022, Technology, Ordinance 1186, and 1200-2022, Public Service and Transportation, Resolution 0061X and 0065X-2022, Ordinance 1099, 1102, 1196, and 1015-2022. Finance Committee, we have 1106, 1110, 1181, and 1269-2022. Recreation and Parks, we have Ordinance 628, 634, Resolution 0062X-2022, Ordinance 168, 166, and 1107, 1135-2022. Housing, Ordinance 1227 and 1234-2022. Health and Human Services, we have Ordinance 1085, 1163, 1164, 1165, 1166, 1167, 1189, and 1232-2022. Public Safety, we have Ordinance 1171-2022. Environment, we have Ordinance 1210-2022. Appointments, we have 115, 116, 117, 118, and 119-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions or comments on the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none and no speakers on this portion of the agenda, may I have a motion to approve these items designated as consent by voice? Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla. Yes. Brown. Yes. Dorans. Yes. Favor.
Yes, with the exception of Ordinance 1259-2022, for which I'm abstaining.
Remy.
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes. Ordinance are passed with the noted exceptions. We will now proceed with the second reading of 38 and tabled emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilmember Bankston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in the Economic Development Committee for second reading, we have Ordinance 2948-2021 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Pinchot and Company LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a total proposed capital investment of approximately $16,077,439 and the creation of 35 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,092,000. This ordinance, along with the next three ordinances, are part of a legislative package that would allow Columbus to capitalize on soaring market demand for manufacturing and warehousing facilities so that we may create employment and workforce development opportunities for the residents of Columbus. The COVID-19 pandemic has increased consumer resilience on online shopping and also caused international manufacturing and shipping disruptions. This has led many manufacturers to increase domestic warehouse inventory and onshore manufacturing operations. As a result, demand for industrial space in well-located communities like Columbus has soared. Presently, Columbus has a pipeline of up to 12.2 million square feet of potential industrial expansions that could close over the next 6 months. In the past, the demand was at only average 1.7 million square feet per year. The four projects included in tonight's legislative package will proactively create at the ready industrial facilities so that we can secure additional industrial projects more quickly and accelerate job creation in manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution in our city. Collectively, these 4 projects will invest $157 million of capital to create 2.81 million square feet of industrial space in our city, some of which already has a tenant, and some of this space will be at the ready to welcome new opportunities and new companies. Additionally, we anticipate that these projects will create a total of 349 new jobs that would generate an annual payroll of $10.89 million. I would like to now pass the mic or the floor over to Director Stevens, and I would like him to just talk a little bit more, not simply about this project, but about our overall strategy when it comes to industrial spaces like this. Director Stevens?
Thank you, President Hardin, Chair Bankston, members of City Council. What we're trying to do with these investments we're making through our enterprise zone agreements and later on in the evening, the job growth incentive, is to position Columbus in a competitive way that competes not only nationally, but with our neighboring suburban communities that are offering similar, if not larger, incentive packages to attract these type of jobs. We know that we're going to continue to see additional investment and opportunity coming our way into the region, and this positions us to successfully compete for those jobs and opportunities for our residents.
Thank you, Director Stevens. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, Council President, I first move to remove this from the table.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
I now move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next, in the Economic Development Committee, we have Ordinance 2949-2021. And again, to reiterate, these next 3 are a part of one package. It's one project site, but 4 different buildings with 4 different job outcomes. This particular ordinance, 2949-2021, is to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Pinchel and Company, LLC, for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a total proposed capital investment of approximately $60,819,433 and the creation of 135 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $4,212,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I first move to remove this from the table.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
And now I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next is Ordinance 2950-2021 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Pinchel and Company, LLC, for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a total proposed capital investment of approximately $53,664,206 and the creation of 119 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $3,712,800. If there are no questions from my colleagues or comments, I move to first remove this from the table.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
And now I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And last in that package of legislation this evening is Ordinance 2951-2021 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with Pinchel and Company, LLC, for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of a total proposed capital investment of approximately $26,717,781 and the creation of 60 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,872,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move first to remove this from the table.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
And now I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And the final ordinance in economic development this evening is Ordinance 1226-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to amend the City of Columbus Job Growth Incentive Agreement with Sarepta Therapeutics, Inc. for the first time to 1, revise the total private investment, 2, to revise the job creation and payroll commitment, and 3, to extend the investment term 1 additional year from 5 consecutive years to 6 consecutive years, and to declare an emergency. The original ordinance for this agreement, which passed on June 15th, 2020, authorized the Director of Department of Development to enter into a dual rate jobs growth incentive agreement with Sarepta Therapeutics, Inc. for an annual cash payment equal to 30% of the City of Columbus income tax withheld on Columbus payroll of new employees to the Columbus region, and 35% of the City of Columbus income tax withheld on Columbus payroll for new employees to the Columbus region who are also City of Columbus residents, and at that end each year for the term of 5 consecutive years. An amendment to the agreement is now needed to revise the total private investment, revise the job creation and payroll commitment, and extend the incentive term. Sarepta is committing to adding the following: 100 new full-time permanent positions on top of the ones already committed, an additional $11 million in payroll, and leasing, improving, and equipping approximately 54,000 square feet of additional commercial office space, bringing their total private investment from $32 million to $62 million. At this time, I want to invite Director Stevens again to talk about this particular project. We talked about this one at length because it really demonstrates when we talk about economic development that this is the end game for us, is that it's not about simply this space being created, but someone coming in and permanently being there. But then, as you can see in this particular case, just 2 years into their agreement, the growth that they have seen, and they're continuing to invest, and that they're continuing to create even more jobs in our city. Director Stevens, can you speak a little bit more to that?
President Harden, Chair Bankston, members of council, this is another example of the economic development tools we use to invest in our community to create new jobs. So working with the company just 2 years ago, we started this relationship, so we're seeing an additional $30 million in investment and doubling the amount of employees. So that's a significant impact to our local economy, and it's why we put forward these incentives and these tools to advance our economic development work.
Thank you, Director. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And President Hart, may I move to the Small and Minority Business Committee?
Please.
Thank you. Tonight in Small and Minority Business Committee for a second reading, we have Ordinance 1183-2022 to authorize the Director of Development to execute a grant agreement with Color Coded Labs in an amount up to $400,000 towards efforts to provide coding boot camp to historically under-resourced communities, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure within the Job Growth Subfund, to allow for reimbursement of expenses beginning January 1, 2022, and to declare an emergency. Council colleagues, I'm really excited about this piece of legislation. It was one of my budget priorities. Color Coded Labs is a multi-week coding boot camp that provides adults from historically under-resourced communities access to high-demand tech skills that will provide transformative, above-average income and job mobility. Their model addresses both the high demand for technology skills by Central Ohio area companies and an expressed desire by the technology industry to promote and achieve greater diversity in its workforce and talent pipeline. Since joining council, I've made it extremely clear that diversity, equity, and inclusion must be intentional. And that is why I'm happy to support Color Coded Labs and their mission through this grant agreement, and was proud to advance this funding as an amendment to the 2022 budget earlier this year during the budget process. This next group of professionals will be able to compete in the continuously evolving tech industry, giving high livable wages, quality education, and job placement to communities that need it most. This is why programs like this are vital and they matter. At this time, I want to ask Council President Harden if you would just say a couple remarks. I think you've been on the front lines of working with color-coded labs and all of the work that they're doing over at Venture Suites. So I want to give you an opportunity to speak to this.
Thank you, Chair. It's just I'm honored to partner with you in this important work. At the end of the day, we know that regardless of what industry you look to, there is a need for more skilled, credentialed workers. And so Color-Coded Labs now has a track record for the last year or so of creating that pipeline into a industry and tech that certainly needs more diversity and inclusion. And so I think Council stands really excited, and stands ready to partner with other organizations and other partners like the county in supporting this great work. But simply put, thank you, Chair Bankston, for your leadership on this ordinance and others as we support this. Thank you.
Thank you, President Harden, for your partnership, and looking forward to the work that they will do in their lives that will be impacted. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Bankston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor,
Abstain.
Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Neighborhoods and Immigrant, Refugee, and Migrant Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I have one ordinance today in Neighborhoods, Immigrant and Refugee and Migrant Affairs. A very exciting ordinance, actually. 12-14-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Neighborhoods to enter into a not-for-profit service contract in the amount of up to $150,000 with the Neighborhood Design Center or NDC for the period of May 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023 to administer a neighborhood beautification grant program, to authorize the appropriation expenditure of $150,000 from the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund and to declare an emergency. So I'm really excited to announce this opportunity. We're partnering with the NDC to administer beautification grants for our communities. So these grants will be for small, and there's some, I brought some show and tell items that you can see on your screen. These are small to medium-sized neighborhood beautification or improvement projects that'll be awarded to organizations or individuals through an application process. So these projects can include pocket parks, murals, public art, signage, and more. In every neighborhood and community in Columbus, there is love, joy, and pride, and the purpose of these funds is to ensure that every community has equal access to create physical points of pride and gathering spaces for all members of our community. So this ordinance will allow us to enter into a contract with NDC, and we will share more information as we open up the applications for organizations and individuals in our community. So I'll open it up to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Awesome. So with that, can I move for passage?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all for me this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Recreation and Park Committee, chaired by President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Recreation and Parks, we have Ordinance 0660-2022 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with PlugSmart for the HVAC controls integration project, to authorize the transfer of $1 million within the Recreation and Parks voted bond fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2021 capital improvements budget, to authorize the expenditure of $1 million from the Recreation and Parks voted bond fund, and to declare an emergency. This project is a first step towards eventual integration of all Columbus Recreation and Parks buildings' HVAC systems into a central control system, which will reduce overall energy use and help the city meet its greenhouse gas reduction goals. According to the Columbus Climate Action Plan, buildings are responsible for approximately 1/4 of city greenhouse gas emissions, primarily from heating, ventilation, and HVAC system operations. The Rec and Parks Department is responsible for the operation of 46 City of Columbus buildings of all kinds, community centers, athletic complexes, et cetera, which possess programmable building automation system controllers for the mechanical HVAC systems. So by making these upgrades, we are working towards reducing emissions by at least 45% by 2030 and to achieve zero emissions by 2050. And reducing building emissions is a major component of reaching these goals. Not to mention, reducing building energy use will result in utility cost savings, which will allow us to redirect operational funding towards achieving other objectives of the department and the city. This emergency request will allow for the timely execution of the contract, which will also help to improve the occupant experience. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee coming before council is the Housing Committee chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tonight in the Housing Committee, we have Ordinance 1115-2022 to authorize the City of Columbus Department of Development to accept and execute a reimbursable grant agreement of up to $2 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, to authorize the appropriation of $1,934,015 and expenditure of $1,192,500 by the Director of the Department of Development in the General Governmental Grant Fund, to authorize the appropriation of $65,985 by the Health Commissioner of Columbus Public Health in the General Government Grant Fund, to authorize the expenditure of pre-award costs effective April 18, 2022, and all funds on the effective date of the grant, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the Department of Development to accept the Healthy Homes Production Grant in an amount up to $2 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The grant will be utilized by the Department of Development and Columbus Public Health to make housing safer from health hazards in city neighborhoods. This includes any repair that would address health or safety determined by the Columbus Public Health Department's Healthy Homes Assessment. While the city has a lead-safe program, this is a program meant to expand beyond more than just lead. It is a more comprehensive look at the home. These repairs could include replacing gutters, addressing mold, new windows, installing handrails, repairing concrete walkways, repairing electrical outlets, installing exhaust fans in bathrooms, replacing doors, installing smoke detectors, and addressing accessibility issues. This program is a much more coordinated and holistic approach to address healthy homes and their hazards in areas such as Linden and the south side of Columbus. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. May I move on to criminal justice?
Please.
Tonight in Criminal Justice and Judiciary, we have Ordinance 1280-2022 to approve the settlement in the case of the City of Columbus versus CityNet LLC, case number 18CV010485, to accept a deposit of $29,069.63 to be deposited into the Sanitary Sewer Operating Fund and to declare an emergency. CityNet LLC, predecessor cross-board conduits through a City of Columbus sewer located under the intersection of Oak Street and Washington Avenue. The conduits resulted in damage to the city sewer. In 2017, a utility crew found a void beneath the street caused by the CityNet cross-board conduits. The city demanded that CityNet, who then owned the conduits, remove and relocate them, but CityNet refused. Consequently, the city had to pay a contractor to remove and relocate CityNet's conduits and to mend the break in the sewer caused by the encroaching conduits. The project cost the city $50,763.86. In 2018, the city filed suit in the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas for trespass, alleging that CityNet trespassed on to city property by intentionally causing its conduits to remain cross-bored through the sewer. The court found CityNet liable for trespass for failing to remove the conduits that were cross-bored through the city sewer when demanded to do so by the city. Although the court granted summary judgment on liability for CityNet failing to remove the conduits, it found a genuine dispute of material fact regarding the damages. The court found that CityNet is only liable for the damages approximately caused by its, quote, failure to remove the conduits from the sewer and then reroute them, end quote. The court found that CityNet is not responsible for the damage caused when its predecessor drilled through the sewer and is therefore not required to pay for the cost of repairing the sewer. The total cost to remove and relocate the conduits and to repair the sewer was $50,763.86, and the parties have agreed to settle the case for $29,069.63. Tonight, we are joined by Assistant City Attorney Brian Shin. Mr. Shin, is there anything additional you would add?
Chair Favor, President Hardin, members of council, thank you first for calling upon me. You covered it very thoroughly, but all I will add is that we believe that it's in the best interest of the city to settle this matter rather than litigate the amount of damages, which is the only issue left after summary judgment. So it would be our recommendation, with the department's approval, that you respectfully approve this ordinance so that we may settle the lawsuit and receive the payment on behalf of the city. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Shin? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 1315-2022 to authorize the city attorney to settle the matters in regarding Jermaine Hilton, grievance numbers 13-2021, 14-2021, 15-2021, 16-2021, and 17-2021, brought by the Communication Workers of America, Local 4502, and pending before an arbitrator, to authorize the expenditure of up to $30,000 from the Street Construction Maintenance and Repair Fund in payment of the settlement and to declare an emergency. Jermaine Hilton was employed by the Department of Public Service as a street cleaning maintenance supervisor from December 2016 through May 2021. Mr. Hilton's employment ended after a series of alleged incidents over the course of 2019 through 2021. Mr. Hilton was alleged to have engaged in conduct, including falsifying summer 2019 timekeeping records, missing work without sufficient leave balances to cover the time away, allowing 480 employees to work outside of the permitted parameters, and failing to comply with the department's call-off policy. In July 2021, the city and CWA took grievances over Mr. Hilton's 3 disciplinary actions to arbitration. The arbitrator upheld 2 of the disciplinary instances but vacated the 3rd. Arbitration of the final 5 disciplinary instances remained. This settlement agreement would resolve all pending matters. Once again, we're joined by Assistant City Attorney Brian Shin. Mr. Shin, do you have any additional comments to make at this time?
All I would add, Chair Favor, President Hardin, members of council, forgive me from coming back from 10 days in France, but I would add that Mr. Hilton had also pursued charges of discrimination with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, and although they had not found probable cause, he could have brought a lawsuit seeking damages, including attorney's fees. So the department agreed that it was best to settle this matter, and it's in the best interest of the city to resolve this for $30,000, and we would respectfully request that council approve that settlement.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Shin? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Final committee coming before council is the Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Hardin. Tonight I have one ordinance in public safety. That's Ordinance 0853-2022 to authorize and direct the Director of Public Service to renew the contract for helicopter maintenance with Helicopter Minutemen, Inc. for the Division of Police, to authorize the expenditure of $898,666.50 from the general fund. I request to table this ordinance until Monday, May 16th.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And that is
Or
all I
table
have
it,
this evening.
just joking.
Thanks.
Not passed. Seeing no further business becoming before council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
This meeting is adjourned. We have two non-agenda 23 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Seeing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorrance chairs the committee, and all members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Before we begin tonight's zoning agenda, please allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on rezonings or variances. We will only hear staff presentations for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have a public speaker signed up to speak against an ordinance. We have received 2 public speaker slips for this evening. All speakers on council variances, including city staff, area commissions, applicants, and members of the public will need to be sworn in before they give any testimony before the body. Representative of an area commission and applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not have to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney's office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and as you shall answer under the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. I do. Thank you. Let the record show that Shannon Pine for the Department of Building and Zoning Services and Daniel Bleschmidt from the Department of Public Service has been sworn in. First, we have rezoning 1178 to rezone 3370 Treby Road, being 3.4 plus acres located on the north side of Treby Road. 235 plus feet west of Dublin Road from LM Limited Manufacturing to LM Limited Manufacturing District. The applicant is Cardinal Self-Storage Tribute LLC, care of Jill Tangeman, attorney. Proposed use a self-storage facility. City's Department recommendations approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval 5-0. The West Iota Area Commission recommendation is approval 6-0. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have rezoning 3143-2021 to rezone 457 Cleveland Avenue, being 9.3 plus acres located on the west side of Cleveland Avenue at the intersection of Jackson Gibbs Boulevard from M Manufacturing District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Half-Baked Holdings, LLC, care of Colby Turnock. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. The City's Department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission recommendation is approval 4-2. The Historic Resource Commission is approval. We have one public speaker that has signed up to speak in support of this application. Vice President of Government Affairs for Abbott, Mr. Tom Evers. Mr. Evers? Mr. Evers, thank you for coming down to council. Please state any relationship you have with the property, and you have 3 minutes.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm Tom Evers, Vice President of Government Affairs for Abbott. We own the property immediately adjacent at 625 Cleveland Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity to present a couple of brief comments. We did submit a letter for the record, which I believe all of you have. Abbott initially opposed this proposed rezoning of the old Kroger site when it was scheduled to be apartment residential. After almost a year of collaborative discussions, I'm pleased to state that we are lifting our opposition for the project. I'd like to acknowledge our appreciation to Casto, as well as council leadership, Council President Harden and Chairman Dorans, as well as the administration and their efforts in finding an agreeable mutual solution here. Our priority has always been to ensure the ability to continue conducting business at our manufacturing facility, which, as I stated, is adjacent to the site, without disruption and in accordance with applicable law as we have for nearly 100 years. This proposal highlights the need for a more thoughtful approach by urban planners and city leaders to ensure urban redevelopment does not conflict with existing property rights and enforcement of outdated code. We applaud council and the administration for their leadership and commitment to review sections of the code and update them, and we look forward to providing our comments to that public process. But on behalf of Abbott, we lift our opposition and support the project. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evers, for being here tonight. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments?
I'll say something, Chair.
President Harden?
I just wanted to thank everybody. I felt like everybody came to these conversations honestly and in the right spirit. And it took a little while to get here, but we all worked hard and we got here. So certainly to the chair, thank you for your leadership, to Abbott and your representatives for working with us, and for your new neighbors with the Casto group. I think this is the beginning of a good neighborly relationship. So just thank all the partners involved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Next speaking on this, we have Mr. Colby Turnock. Good evening. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having us tonight. Colby Turnock, Vice President, Residential Development with Casto. I'll keep it brief. We just wanted to thank everybody, Tom and the Abbott team, for working and collaborating with us on this effort. Councilman Dorans, appreciate taking the time to help the collaboration on that process. President Harden, Councilman Remy, everyone that was involved, we truly appreciate it, and we're excited to get this project started.
Great, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Questions or comments from my colleagues? Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Just so we say this out loud, I think we've talked a little bit around it, but so this ordinance will rezone the old Kroger Bakery site that will be a very large residential development near our urban core, near transportation corridors, near where we know we need more housing. We know that there were concerns from Abbott that have been worked through with all the different parties here. The current noise ordinance, which was one of the larger concerns brought forward by Abbott, we know that the city is committed to working with Abbott and others on amending that noise ordinance to ensure that that fits our city here today and make sure that more of these mixed-use developments can exist in our city where they maybe haven't existed before. Confident that this dialogue will continue and all parties are in agreement. Just want to again compliment the parties, Casto and Abbott, for working together on a good neighbor agreement and a lot of other issues to make sure we got here tonight. So I just want to say thank you to all those folks working in good faith to get us here. With that, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Now we turn to the variances this evening in the committee. First is variance 1151-2022 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3332.037 R2F Residential District 3312.49, minimum number of parking spots required 3321.05 B2, vision clearance 3332.05, area district lot width requirements 3332.14 R2 F district requirements 3332.19, fronting 3332.21, building lines 3332.26, minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard for the property located at 462 East Beck Street to permit a two-unit dwelling on one lot with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Magnetic Home Services, LLC, care of Dave Perry, agent. The proposed use is a single two-unit dwelling on one lot. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Columbus Southside Area Commission recommendation is approval, 11-0. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1177-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.035 R3 Residential District 3312.49, minimum number of parking spaces required of the Columbus City Codes to the property located at 1126 Bryden Road to permit a 984-plus square foot office use with an existing two-unit dwelling with reduced parking requirements in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Herb Chen. The proposed use is a mixed-use building. The city's department is approval. The nearest area commission's recommendation is approval 511. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Three, I now move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1179-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3312.27, parking setback line 3363.24, building lines in the M Manufacturing District of the Columbus City Codes, the property located at 3370 Treview Road to permit reduced setbacks for a self-storage facility, LM Limited Manufacturing District, and repeal ordinance number 2010-2020 passed on October 19th of 2020. The applicant is Colonel Storage, Treview LLC, care of Jill Tangeman, attorney. The proposed use is a self-storage facility. City's department recommendation is approval. The West Side Area Commission's recommendation is approval 6-0. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1188-2022 to grant a variance for provisions of section 3332.38H, a private garage, 3332.05, area district lot requirements, 3332.14 R2F, area district requirements, 3332.26C1, minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.38G, private garage of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1027 City Park Avenue to permit a habitable space above a detached garage with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Eric Mantanu, attorney. The proposed use is a habitable space above a garage. City's department recommendation is approval. The German Village Commission's recommendation is approval 6-0. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accepted.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1197-2022 to grant a variance for provisions of section 3332.037 R2F residential district, 3332.05A1 area district lot width requirements, 3332.14 R2F area district requirements, 3332.19 fronting, 3332.25 maximum side yard required, and 3332.27 rear yard of Columbus City Codes, the property located at 163 North 2nd Street, to permit a single-unit dwelling on one lot with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Nitzan Levi. The proposed use is a two single-unit dwelling on one lot. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Near East Area Commission recommendation is approval 6-0-1. Do I have my colleagues any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as exhibit by voice.
Clerk, please call the row. By voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council by voice.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
I next move to amend to emergency by voice.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
Thank you. I now move for passage as amended by voice.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes. Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1208-2022 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3332.035 R3 residential district, 3312.49C minimum number of parking spaces required, 3332.05A4 area district lot requirements, 3332.13 R3 area district requirements, 3332.18D basis of computing area, 3332.21 D2 building lines, 3332.25 maximum side yards required, 3332.26B minimum side yard permitted, and 3333.24 rear yard of the Columbus City Codes, the property located at 225 South Monroe Avenue, permit a single-unit dwelling and a two-unit dwelling on two new lots with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Rubin Real Estate LLC, care of Dave Perry, agent. The proposed use is a single-unit dwelling and a two-unit dwelling and two new lots. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Near East Area Commission's recommendation is approval 10-0-1. We have one public speaker to sign up on this variance, so at this time we'll have the staff make a presentation. Ms. Pine?
Good evening. The site consists of one undeveloped parcel in the R3 residential district. The requested council variance will permit a single-unit dwelling on Area A and a two-unit dwelling on Area B, with each dwelling being on its own lot. The R3 district only permits single-unit dwellings. Variances for increased lot coverage and reduced lot width, lot area, parking from 4 spaces to 3 spaces for Area B, building setbacks, and side and rear yard are included in the request. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Near East Area Plan, which does not include a specific land use recommendation for this location, but the plan does state that, in general, housing types and density should be consistent with the housing types and density found in the surrounding area. Staff believes the proposal is compatible with the urban character of the neighborhood as recommended by the plan and does not introduce incompatible uses to the area. Planning Division staff has reviewed conceptual elevations for the proposed dwellings, and a condition has been added that the two-car attached garage for the dwelling on Area A will have 2 single bay doors as opposed to 1 large overhead door with glazing to better meet the intent of the Near East Area Plan Design Guideline recommendations. Therefore, the City Department's recommendation is for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pine. Do my colleagues have any questions for Ms. Pine? Seeing none, I would move to ask whether Mr. Dave Perry, the agent for the applicant, would like to make any statement at this time. Mr. Perry? Please raise your right hand and prepare to be sworn in.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer in the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Perry, the floor is yours.
Very good, thank you. President Hardin, Councilman Dorans, and all council members, my name is Dave Perry. I'm here on behalf of Rubin Real Estate LLC as the agent for this application. The proposal is as stated by staff. The requested variances will permit the construction of a 2-family dwelling on the South Monroe frontage and a single-family dwelling on the Allen Avenue frontage. There's a couple blocks here, in case you're not familiar with it, Allen Avenue is the street directly east of the health department. There's a couple blocks here where parcels front on both Monroe and Allen. There have been various splits over the years on Allen for single-family dwellings, and Monroe is characterized by a wide range of single-family, 2-family, there's some 4-family and so on. The R3 is from the model cities downzoning of large portions of the Near East Area Commission area in 1972. So the proposed uses, let's see, as staff indicated, the proposed use is unanimously supported by the Near East Area Commission. Parking is provided for 2 spaces for the single-family dwelling on Allen Avenue with a garage directly accessing Allen, and then there's a small variance for the 2-family dwelling to have 3 spaces, 3 off-street parking spaces rather than 4. Each of these 3 units are in the area of 2,100 square feet, and Rubin Real Estate anticipates sale prices in the area of $450,000 per unit. So the 2-unit building is, the plans for the 2-unit building are to sell them as condominiums.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Do my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Perry? Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any members of the Air Commission here this evening from the Near East side? Seeing none, I will move next to bring up our public speaker who signed up to speak on this ordinance, Mr. Kevin Murphy. Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy, if I can have you come up to the podium and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, the floor is yours, and please state any relationship you have to the property.
Okay. My daughter owns the property directly south of the place. She is actually out of town for work, and she asked me to come in and speak for everybody. I actually have some handouts I don't know how I go about delivering these. There's probably not enough for everybody, and I'm going to be nervous. I am not used to this, so
Take your time.
if I faint, just throw a little water on my face and leave me there till tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak in regards to file 1208-2022. There are several concerns that we have in regards to passing this. The first in regards is the parking. There's pictures included in this thing, which is 2A and 2B, which is in there. 2A was taken today from Bryden Road. 2B was taken also on Saturday to show that how heavy the parking use is. Next is in regards to the setback. That would be under 3A, which is, I'm using their official documentation that they sent here. The proposed setback, I don't understand how having a cantered setback will fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. My math may be wrong, but I found that there will be a minimum of a 1 foot difference setback from the south corner of the unit on Monroe to the north side of the unit on Monroe. Additionally, some of the data they have in the sheet is wrong. They show the house to the south, which is my daughter's, to have a setback of 10 foot, and in fact, it's actually 14 foot, with the porch being 7 foot. For the house to the north, again, they show the setback for the house to be 10 foot, when it is actually over 14 foot where they have the 10-foot line. The porch is 9 foot back, and more important is the southeast corner of the house next to the proposed development is over 17 feet setback. This can be seen by looking at 3B, as I'm totally lost here, which I expected to be, which gives you a general idea on how it looks to the base. Sorry about that. Then the setback at 232 Allen is an 8 foot. With the shortest setback between Bryden Road and Rich as 7 foot. There's nothing less than 7 foot between Bryden Road and Rich Street there on that block. That can kind of be seen by this picture here, which is 3C. You have to go further close to Main Street to get anything less than 7 foot. Another concern is that when my daughter bought her house, there was a 13-foot wide alley to the north of her property between Monroe Avenue and Allen Avenue, seen in 4A. You can actually see it kind of canters and stuff. I purchased that land from the city. I was told when I purchased it that there was a sewer easement underneath the complete 13 feet. As you can see, it's already offset because the house on Allen actually sits at a tiny bit already. So that what it basically says is on their property, they have a 4.3 foot, 4 foot wide of easement there on the south of their property there in Allen. Additionally, with that easement being cantered and looking at 4C, the property line is only about 7 foot away from the actual house of 232 Allen, which may cause a hardship if the city needs to access this easement. Monroe side, it's okay because of the way it's cantered. It has close to I think close to 10 or 11 feet there, which makes it easier. There is one additional concern on Allen Avenue where the proposed driveway is noted. If you look at 5A and 5B, you will see that there is a support cable on the ground because of the wires on the pole that change directions there. That support cable looks like it may be in the placement of where they plan their driveway. If you look at the top of the pole, you can see how the wires go, and they're actually cantered like that, which states that that support cable is needed to support that pole. This is pretty much everything I have to say, and hopefully I didn't make too big of a fool of myself.
No, certainly not, sir. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Murphy? Seeing none, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Mr. Perry, would you like to provide any rebuttal?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. On the setback issue, the property lines of this parcel and frequently in older neighborhoods are not perfectly perpendicular to the right-of-way lines. And the right-of-way lines may not be directly north-south or directly east-west. The right-of-way is often slightly canted, slightly angled. The property lines are not necessarily perpendicular to the right-of-way line. So this parcel is slightly a parallelogram. Twice last week, Mr. Murphy and I talked, and then also this morning, the only subject that was discussed was concern about the surveying. I can tell you the property has been surveyed. The two descriptions and survey plat have been approved by the Franklin County engineer, and me and others have double-checked the dimensions against the auditor's GIS and the survey. They all match. So the most important piece of that is that third-party review by the Franklin County engineer has approved the descriptions and the survey plat. So we are comfortable with the survey plat and the property lines. It's not unusual. It's not unusual without the assistance of a survey and staking corners that whether due to mow lines or objects or fences, there may be some mistaken boundary of a property. But the property is pinned, and we believe completely accurately, and that is supported by the Franklin County engineer review. Related to property lines not being at right angles, there is a slight difference in the Monroe setback between the southeast corner and the northeast corner. The southeast corner has been set at 10 feet to match the corner of 231 South Monroe to the house. The northeast corner is slightly deeper. The house to the north is slightly deeper. So when you don't have parallel property lines, the architects and engineers need to make a decision. Do we site a house parallel to the frontage, which then means the side yards are angled, or do we site a house parallel to the side yards, which means then the fronting is slightly angled? The latter choice was made here to maintain a uniform side yard. In 2019, or prior to 2019, there was a 13-foot alley between these properties. And Mr. Murphy is correct. His daughter, as the property owner, actually petitioned the city for the purchase of that, and the end result of the sale of that alley was 8 feet and a fraction went to the owner of 231 South Monroe, and 4 feet and a fraction went to the then property owner of this parcel. That is reflected, those dimensions are reflected on the survey and the boundaries of this parcel. So we believe, again, the survey is completely accurate. In terms of parking, this neighborhood was built before Columbus even had zoning. And on-street parking was a part of the neighborhood, and it still is a part of the neighborhood. There have been numerous variances granted for development projects in the Near East Area Commission, and this one parking space is the least of them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Do one of my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Perry? Seeing none, thank you. I want to thank Mr. Murphy for coming down tonight, and certainly reasonable minds can differ about looking at the information on a variance request, but I think with a enthusiastic support from the Near East Side Area Commission as it pertains to the design standards, especially for the neighborhood, a very small parking reduction while parking's being added to one of the units as well. I think I'm comfortable moving forward with this project. I'll pause to see if any of my colleagues have any questions or comments. Seeing none, first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
And finally, I move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes. Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 1209-2022 to grant a variance for provisions of section 3332.035 R3 Residential District 3312.09 aisle 3312.21 D1 parking lot screening 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required of the Columbus City Codes, the property located at 330-344 Taylor Avenue to conform an existing 8-unit apartment building with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Greenway Holdings LLC, care of Dan Sikora, agent. The proposed use is an 8-unit apartment building. City's department recommendation is approval. The nearest area commission's recommendation is approval 601. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report and new evidence as an exhibit by voice.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
I move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston,
Yes.
Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Yes. Pass.
Thank you. Finally, we have variance 3144-2021 to grant a variance provisions of section 3356.03 C4 permitted uses, 3361.02 permitted uses of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 457 Cleveland Avenue to permit ground floor residential uses as part of a mixed-use development in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. This is a companion piece to the rezoning we passed earlier tonight's agenda regarding the former Kroger Bakery sites. The applicant is Half Bakes Holdings LLC. Colby Turncook is represented for Casto. Proposed use is a mixed-use development. City's Department recommendation is approval. The Historic Resources Commission recommendation is approval. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in the zoning committee tonight.
See no further business come for the zoning committee. Is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
The meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.